Boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, children of all ages, I am a fan of Blade. Like many of us out there, we really enjoyed the Wesley Snipes movies from back in the day. I enjoyed them all the way through Trinity. I thought it was a really fun time, and it was a great movie. I heard Wesley Snipes was absolutely horrible to work for behind the scenes, but you know what? At the end of the day, the movies were great, and it was a great portrayal. I've always been a big fan of vampire lore just in general. I was a huge fan of Anne Rice when I was younger, and basically any kind of vampire story or any of that kind of stuff, Lost Boys, any of that kind of stuff, I'm absolutely all about. So you give me a half vampire daywalker who's going out there and just literally wiping the floor with every vampire he can get a hold of, and like in some of the most gruesome and epic ways possible. And yes, boys and girls, give me more, give me more. And then when you pair that with an actor of the quality and standard that Mahershala Ali actually is, and the fact that he seems to be pushing back nonstop on all of the BS nonsense that Marvel has been trying to pull in the modern era with a lot of their movies and trying to essentially backseat a lot of their strong male protagonists. And guess what? Mr. Ali was not putting up with that. The entire production team behind this movie got flushed down the toilet. The script got thrown out, and things were just completely and totally started new, because guess what? Mr. Ali was not going to take a backseat in his movie, was not going to be replaced by some strong and new female protagonist, and was wanted to have his proper time in the sun as the Blade character we all know that he can be. Well, ladies and gentlemen, things are only getting even worse. This movie is going through absolute production hell, because now we've lost even more. Now we've lost a director, and we're getting a new writer. And although sometimes writers can be responsible for the things, well, they're always responsible for the things they wrote. They decided to take the job and write those things under orders or just for a paycheck. Either way, they did write those things out there. And some of these writing credits, well, make you wonder about what the future, or what Marvel and specifically Bob Iger is trying to shove into this Blade movie, and what Mr. Ali is willing to refuse to take or not. But we know at this point, boys and girls, he's going to get his way, because the egg on the face that would be for Kevin Feige, after all of his diversity and inclusion nonsense he's pushed, to have an actual strong black male lead like Mr. Ali walk away from a project because of all the nonsense we goes on behind the back scenes of the Walt Disney Company, and specifically Disney Marvel. Well, that's something I don't think there will. So I do think there might still end up being hope for this movie, but needless to say, it is it in production hell, and it does not sound like we will be seeing it anytime soon. So we're going to check out this article from CosmicBook.news, getting all of the juicy details and see exactly what is going on right now with our Blade movie. But before we do, if you do enjoy our content, whether you're watching live or you're watching the video that we cut out and put out there for all of you wonderful folks to enjoy, make sure you smash that like button if you haven't already. Subscribe or follow, depending on what platform you're watching this on, and leave us a comment either in the live stream chat or down below, and let us know what you think about the Blade movie, whether you think this thing's going to be in production hell, whether you think it'll ever see the light of day, or whether not Mr. Ali will end up getting his way. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's get into it. So, Marvel said not to be in a rush, and another writer is confirmed who wrote female-centric MCU movies. Well, that right there throws you up a red flag. That gives you caution, that gives you warning. But at the end of the day, we know it's not just one specific writer that's generally responsible for anything these days, and honestly, that might be part of the problem. It's generally a giant group, a room of writers. It's generally right by committee at this point, no longer actually anybody's true vision or artistic talent, which I think that probably explains whether or not you agree with the agenda in a lot of the modern movies, or the forced diversity and inclusion that we've seen time and time again. At the end of the day, there's no doubt that you can deny that writing by committee is failing miserably, because it's murdering all of the artistic vision, and that's why we see such a disastrous dumpster fires. You can do inclusion, diversity, and political writing properly, but you can't sacrifice your storytelling for it, and that's the problem. You have a bunch of talentless hacks left over at Disney Marvel right now who don't know how to write themselves out of a wet paper bag. Another big surprise is learn that trouble surrounding the Blade continues as director Yann Demange has exited the movie. This comes following Mahershala Ali picking Yann Demange to replace Basman Tarouk back in November of 2022. So the search is on for a third director for the movie that has been in development since 2019. And I wonder if Yann was just like, dude, yeah, I like ya. I appreciate you trying to get me in on this, but Disney Marvel? Dude, these guys are nuts. So I don't know. That's just my pure speculation. I am just pulling things out of my behind on this one, okay? The news also follows the two-time Oscar winner Ali likely joining the Jurassic World reboot, which films soon. According to the latest trades, Ali remains on board Blade, and Marvel is not looking to rush the film. And honestly, it's one of them situations where if they're just waiting to find the right people and maybe just make Ali happy and whatever that takes, then I would much rather them take their time or this thing never come to the light of day, honestly. That would be the two best options because Blade is a great character. He is a wonderful, properly R-rated character that deserves his proper time in his violent and vicious ways that he properly deserves. And I fear that without Ali having complete and total creative control, like what we've seen with Ryan Reynolds in the Deadpool and Wolverine movie, I think this thing could end up being an absolute abomination. And at worst, it could just end up being boring garbage. And I think that might do more damage than even wokeifying it, because I think wokeifying at this point is exactly what we expect. But if it's not woke and then it's just end up being disappointing, I think that might make it even worse, truth be told. So we'll have to wait and see what happens with all of this. So Deadline, The Hollywood Reporter, and Variety also said Yann Demange's departure was amicable and happened a while ago. And just as I've said, suggested another delay is happening. So maybe the guy was just like, look, this is a bad scheduling conflict for me. I'm just not one to do this. This just ain't my thing. I have no idea. But at the end of the day, this is just going to push this movie back even farther. And at the end of the day, cost the Walt Disney Company hundreds of more millions of dollars, which for me, personally, I'm all here for that. It's also confirmed Blade has a new writer, Eric Pearson, at least the seventh to have worked on the flick by my count. Eric Pearson is known for Black Widow, Thor Ragnarok, ouch, Agent Carter, wasn't that bad, kind of boring more than anything else, Godzilla vs. Kong. All right, I've heard okay things about that. And he wrote Marvel's Thunderbolts and co-wrote Fantastic Four. We'll see. Haven't obviously seen either one of those yet, but considering the modern Marvel, not really a thing. But once again, this guy might have just been one of many on a committee, so I'm not going to hold it against him for this. But at the exact same time, I mean, yeah, this ain't looking good for you, homeboy. You ain't coming in with the best chops out there. I'm just putting that out there. So according to previous leaked reports from the trades, the original plan Blade movie was to make a second-tier character in his own movie. Blade was supposed to either replaced by his daughter, who becomes a new Blade, or train his daughter, or the daughter of Dracula's prodigy, right? All of this stuff was we had talked about. Worth a mention is the previous writer, Michael Green, wrote Logan, and we also saw Pearson has written female-centric Marvel movies. So we'll have to see what happens. Honestly, at this point, we have no idea. Variety previously said the story at one point morphed into a narrative led by women and filled with life lessons. Blade was relegated to the fourth lead, a bizarre idea considering the studio had a two-time Oscar-winning Ali on board. So yeah, right now it's supposed to release November 7th, 2025, and Mia Goth is also supposed to be in the movie, possibly playing Lilith. But at this point, I wouldn't hold my breath, and I really don't think that this thing is going to come out on time. I'd imagine we're going to get another delay. I love the actor Ali. I think he was great in 4400. I've seen him do great things inside of the Marvel Universe before. He was great in Luke Cage. I think he was very much a underutilized character and was cut off way too early as Cottonmouth, but that's just my personal opinion on that kind of thing, but it seems like a lot of the fans seem to agree on that as well. So I hope this movie ends up doing well. I would like to see a properly well done Blade movie in the same vein of what we're seeing with the Deadpool Wolverine kind of stuff. Whether or not that's going to happen, I have no idea. Whether or not Ali ends up deciding to walk away and just move on with his life and do something else, I mean, only time will tell. I would imagine you can only string a person along for so very long with the kind of credentials, credit, and overall acting talent that this guy does before eventually he's just going to be like, you know what, piss on you, I got better things to do. But who knows? Maybe he's one of those that's actually a big fan of the Blade character, and it sure seems like if he's the one, if the rumors are true and he's the one that's been pushing back against all this nonsense and trying to get the changes made to actually properly represent the Blade character, maybe he's a really big fan, and maybe he will hold on to this with an absolute depth grip to make sure that no one else gets to touch it and no one else gets to damage the amazing character that Blade is. I hope that ends up being the case, and I hope we end up getting a Blade movie. But at this time, honestly, the bets are not with anything Disney Marvel, but who knows? Who knows? Ladies and gentlemen, times are always a-changing after all.